Hi everyone, welcome to Career Launcher. My name is Abhilasha and I'll be taking you through vocabulary for IPMAT and JIPMAT 2027. So I hope you've been following us on these sessions and on this journey as we go along, trying to help you prepare for both of these important exams, IPMAT Indore, IPMAT Rohtak, and also JIPMAT 2027. So previous session, of course, we have discussed other types of vocabulary today, very academic vocabulary, but of course, this is all words that will help you. So let's get started without wasting any more time. Okay, what is academic vocabulary? Of course, high frequency words which are used by mature language users across various academic disciplines, that is sociology, economics, philosophy, and sciences. Rather than testing obscure terms, IPMAT focuses on words that alter the tone, logic, or direction of an argument. So there are three basic conceptual buckets that you have. So you have words of change and consistency. For example, capricious, mercurial, ephemeral, immutable, perennial, transient. You have words of argument and logic, cogent, spurious, specious, tenable, anachronistic, empirical. And you have words of attitude and demeanor, which is imperturbable, obdurate, taciturn, loquacious, assiduous, indolent. And today we are going to be discussing a lot of these words, right? So, how do you improve your vocabulary? What is the core strategy for doing that? So, number one, of course, even if you don't know the exact meaning of a particular word, you can guess the meaning. You can decode the meaning from the sentence that is there. So look for three types of context clues. Number one, contrast indicators. So words which say, here is a contrast, but yet, however, though, although, even though, despite, conversely, nonetheless, strangely, surprisingly, you know the word is going to be the opposite of a known concept in the sentence. So, for example, although the board expected the candidate to be pliant, he proved to be entirely obdurate. Now, I know the although says the two words have to be opposite. So, if the first one is pliant, which means very amenable, flexible, the second word has to be the opposite of pliant, which is not pliant or therefore obdurate. So, you know that you can understand and guess from these words. Similarly, restatement or equivalence indicators, words like in other words, that is, specifically, indeed, colons, M dashes, these introduce a definition of a word, right? So the scientist theories were deemed spurious, and then there is an M dash, and then it says they were entirely fabricated out of thin air without any peer-reviewed research. So you know that spurious is entirely fabricated out of thin air, so fake. And similarly, you have cause effect indicators such as because, therefore, as a result, consequently. These show a flow. Where is the passage going? They also show a causal relationship. So you can use these words to identify the positive or negative charge of the word, and then accordingly identify what the correct answer is. A lot of times you can also use morphology or etymology, as we call it. So many words are constructed using Latin and Greek roots, prefixes, and suffixes. So if you could understand the root words and break up the word into its components, you will be able to instantly understand its meaning, just like this. So of course, prefixes, suffixes, roots, you can use all of them. So prefixes could be like ex or eco. So ex means out of or away from. So you exculpate someone, which is to free from blame or free from guilt. Similarly, im or in means not or into. So imperturbable means someone who's not able to be perturbed or therefore calm. Contra or counter is against. So contravene is to go against something, generally to go against a law or a rule. Similarly, root words, locu or locute means to talk or speak. So therefore, loquacious is talkative. Elocution is clear speech. Circumlocution, circum means circle. So talking in circles is circumlocution. Similarly, anim means mind or spirit, and therefore animosity is ill will, equanimity is calmness. Plaque means to please or soothe, therefore placator is peacemaker. Implacable is someone who cannot be appeased. So you can use these root words to help you understand the meanings of words. Okay. So those are two very good ways of improving your vocabulary. Of course, there are many other ways, just as simply learning up a word list, which is also something that you can do. There are some words which may not have very clear root words. So instead of scrambling around looking for root words, just learn the meaning, right? At times, that is the easiest way to do that. So learn groups of words, So for example, for stubborn, you can just learn obstinate, obdurate, unyielding. Learn 3-4 words together. You will remember them always. Okay. All right. So let's get started with some exercise and learn and practice a few questions. So here we have a set of questions, 10, where you have to identify the word closest in meaning to the underlined word, okay, or the bold-faced word. The professor's lucid explanation made the complex quantum mechanics theory easy for the undergraduate students to understand. So he's saying that the explanation, whatever explanation was, it made the theory easy. The complex theory was easy for the students to understand. So therefore, this explanation, whatever this is, has to be something that made it easy, right? So can it be obscure? No, it would make it more difficult. Can it be clear? Yes. Can it be ambiguous? Ambiguous means when there are more than one meanings. Prolix, of course, is very talkative, and therefore that would just not fit here. So let me write talkative here. Okay. So therefore, the best answer will be clear. Lucid means clear, cogent, coherent, okay, understandable. All right. Many startups fail because their initial business models are based on spurious assumptions about consumer behavior. So look at the sentence. It says many startups fail. Okay. So negative charge, because, and then he's giving you a reason. So this word also has to be a negative charge, right? Let's understand that. So startups have failed because of spurious assumption about consumer behavior. So therefore, I know that the word spurious has to be something negative. So let's take a look. Authentic, of course, is a positively charged word, so that cannot be my answer. Ephemeral is also a positively charged word, so not my answer. Fake is a negatively charged word, so could be my answer. Diligent is a diligent means very hardworking, so that's a positively charged word, so not my answer. So best answer will be fake, and that's the correct answer. So are based on fake assumptions about consumer behavior. The word ephemeral is something that is very short-lived or very transient, okay, or momentary. The word diligent means very hard-working, okay, or what you call very assiduous. Okay. All right, let's go to the next set. The CEO remained imperturbable even when the stock market crashed, calmly guiding her team through the financial crisis. So she is calmly guiding her team. So therefore, can she be disturbed? No. So this word has to mean calm, undisturbed. I'm looking for something like that. So agitated, which is disturbed, will not be my answer. Indifferent is uncaring, which cannot work. Unflappable can work. That means someone who's very calm. Volatile is someone who's very mercurial or changing very quickly. So that, of course, cannot be my answer. So my best answer will be unflappable. The committee decided to rescind the outdated policy after extensive protests from the student union. Now look at the sentence. It says there were extensive protests from the student union to do away with the outdated policy. Of course, that is what they would be protesting. Now, they would not be asking you to keep the policy. So you want to remove the policy, right? So negatively charged word, probably you want to remove the policy. So let's look at the words. Validate means to prove right. Positively charged, so no. Revoke, negatively charged, so yes. Instigate. The policy cannot be instigated, people can be, right? Instigate means to incite someone, to provoke someone, right? So that is instigate. So therefore it won't work here, right? So eliminate. Endorse, of course, is to support or validate. So that also won't work. So best answer, revoke. The word rescind means to cancel, to annul, to nullify, or to revoke. The word rescind is generally used for legal provisions, okay, for laws. All right. The scholar's argument was cogent, leaving no room for the critics to doubt the validity of his historical research. So, of course, so the critics cannot doubt him, right? Leaving no room for critics to doubt. So that means he was proved very, very correct. So therefore, can his research be weak? No. Can it be convoluted, which is very twisted? No. Can it be redundant, which is useless? No. So best answer, compelling. Compelling means something that makes you agree to them. So cogent, compelling. All right. He was known for his parsimonious nature, rarely spending money on anything beyond absolute bare necessities. So he doesn't spend money. Rarely means not spending money. Rarely, barely, hardly, all of them means not spending money. Okay. So he is not spending money. So what kind of a person is he? He's a miser, right? Very clearly. He's not generous, he's not extravagant, he's not ostentatious, he's miserly, he's stingy. Ostentatious is someone who's very much into show off. Okay, extravagant, of course, is lavish. So the Ambani weddings are extravagant, lavish. So the new environmental regulation had a salutary effect on the local system, drastically reducing river pollution within months. So if the river pollution has reduced, so the effect was positive or negative, it was a positive effect. So therefore my answer has to be a positive word, which clearly is beneficial. Detrimental is negative. Negligible is negative. Insidious is negative. Remember, insidious means something that is very poisonous. It goes inside and harms you from there. So clearly B. All right, the standard textbook was filled with platitudes that offered no real tactical insight for modern entrepreneurs. So something that offered no real tactical insights. That means it was useless, right? Correct? I'm saying that. So can I say hyperboles? No. Can I say epiphany? No. Epiphany is what? It's a realization. Okay. I had an epiphany that day. Novelty is newness. So banality, very boring, repetitive, cliched or hackneyed stuff. Okay. Very repetitive stuff. So hyperbole is an exaggeration. I could eat a horse. That's a hyperbole. Nobody can eat a horse. Right? I'm dying of pain. That's a hyperbole. The defense attorney managed to exculpate her client by presenting a definitive video alibi from the night of the crime. So she presented a video alibi which was definitive, which means very strong. Huh? So therefore, she has been able to free her client. So therefore, absolve will be the correct answer. Incriminate is to accuse, condemn is accuse, indict is accuse. So all of them are negative words. All of these mean inculpate. We are talking exculpate. So to free from guilt. All right. The unpredictable weather patterns in the region are capricious, making it highly difficult for farmers to plan their harvest. Unpredictable. They're capricious. So can they be stable? No. Can they be deliberate? No. Can they be monotonous? No. They're fickle. They're changing very quickly. Right? So answer will be B. All right, let's take a look at the next set. Here are 5 questions where you're identifying the opposite of the given word. All right, her assiduous efforts in reviewing the financial ledger helped the firm catch the accounting error before the audit. So she reviewed the ledger. They were able to catch the error even before the audit. So the effort had to be very positive. So if this is a positive word, I'm looking for an opposite. That means I'm looking for a negative word. So lazy is a negative word. Meticulous is very careful, right? So that, of course, is a positive word. So that is not my answer. Persistent is someone who is doing something again and again, very positive, so not my answer. Crafty is cunning. Okay. In an evil manner. So that won't work here. So best answer will be lazy. So there were two words with a negative charge, but of course, assiduous means very hardworking, diligent, and therefore lazy had to be the correct antonym. The political candidate's speech was full of cacophony, making it incredibly difficult for the audience to hear the core promises. The word cacophony has two roots. Okay, one is caco and the other is phone. So caco means harsh. Okay, phone means sound. So harsh sound is noisy. Okay, noise. So therefore discord is the synonym. Din is the synonym, clamor is the, so these are all synonyms. So they cannot be the answer. The correct answer is harmony. Harmony means pleasing to the sound, to the ear. You can also use euphony. Okay, you can also use melody. You can also use mellifluous. Okay. So those words can be used for pleasant sound. The researchers' findings were deemed transitory. Okay. As the chemical reaction lasted only for a fraction of a microsecond. Only for a fraction of a microsecond is very short-lived, isn't it? So antonym of short-lived will be long-lived, right? So permanent. That has to be your answer. Fleeting, ephemeral, evanescent, transient, momentary, those are all short-lived. These are all synonyms, right? So they cannot be the correct answer. All right, question number 14. The High Court judge was known to be biased when handling cases involving large media conglomerates. So he was known to be biased in particular cases. So he used to favor people. So it was a case of favoritism, right? So opposite of bias will be what? Fair, right? So I'm looking for someone who's unbiased, who's fair. So objective would work. Partisan, prejudiced, and subjective would be biased. Okay. So therefore incorrect. There's another word that you can use for bias, and that is nepotism. Nepotism is favoring your family. So when there is a bias towards family, then that is called nepotism. The manager's loquacious demeanor during board meetings usually extended the sessions by several unnecessary hours. Loquacious means talkative, right? They would talk. If they're extending the session by several unnecessary hours, that means it's going on and on. So we have to say that it was very short, right? So answer will be taciturn. Taciturn means to speak less, as opposed to talkative, garrulous, and verbose, which is very talkative or loquacious. So these are all synonyms, 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 and this one is your antonym. So correct answer. All right, let's do these fillers. There are 5 of these. Again, as we go along, you can just follow. The dynamic tech industry is notorious for its nature, where a dominant market leader can become absolutely, completely obsolete within a decade. Mercurial is changeable. Immutable is unchanging. Intransigent is unchanging. Obdurate is unchanging. So correct answer will be mercurial. Something that is changing, fickle, right? So that's your answer. So B, C, and D cannot be the correct answer. The monk chose to lead an something lifestyle devoid of any luxuries to deeply focus on his spiritual enlightenment. So it was a very simple lifestyle. He's a monk. So his lifestyle has to be ascetic, right? Very simple, very Spartan. It cannot be hedonistic or sybaritic, which is extravagant or lavish or indulgent. So correct answer C, ascetic. A, B, and D are incorrect. Despite facing intense criticism from the media, the politician remained. So there was criticism, but he did not. He refused to alter his stance on the tax bill. So he was obdurate. He was not pliant, not amenable, and not obliging. So obdurate means he stuck to his guns. And he was very unyielding. He was stubborn. He was obstinate. Okay, all of these will work. The diplomat handled the sensitive border negotiations with extreme something, ensuring neither nation felt disrespected. So extreme finesse. Finesse means very delicately handled. Okay. So finesse is handled with care. Or with aplomb. Okay. Gauche is awkward. Temerity, of course, is temerity or impudence would be audacity or chutzpah, both of which have some element of rudeness. Okay. So correct answer, finesse. The heavy rain acted as a something to the forest fire, completely extinguishing the flames before they could reach. So it would be a deterrent, hai na? Otherwise the fire would have gone up. So not a catalyst, not an incitement, not stimulus. It has to be deterrent. All right, guys, that is bringing us to the end of today's session. Remember to hit like if this helped you, subscribe to the channel, and also share it with a friend if you feel they will find it useful. To enroll at Career Launcher, of course, all you need to do is call us at 8130-038-836. All right, that is it from me. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. See you next week, same time, same place.